Peace and love to the family. Corbin reporting live. Welcome to the DarusCorbin Mystery School. This is part 2 of the hidden powers of the whites, the secret religion withheld from the primal peoples. Once again, the hidden power of the whites, the secret religion withheld from the primal people. Before I go in on part 2, family, and thank you for the ones who watched part 1, really thank you. I want to play a clip. Some of you might have heard this story, some of you might be hearing it for the first time. But don't worry, this story goes right in with the presentation. But just in case you forgot how it really gets and how it really can get, look no further to this video.
This was a journey American missionary John Chow was warned against taking. The island was off limits to protect outsiders and the tribe, which has no immunity to modern diseases. This morning, investigators are trying to figure out who else might have been involved in that fatal mission. Today, this remote island in the Indian Ocean is the focus of an investigation. Where is American missionary John Chow's body? This morning, 7 people, including fishermen accused of taking him there, are under arrest. More may be under suspicion. Chow was no stranger to exotic adventures, trekking in South Africa, snowshoeing across the Pacific Northwest, diving in the Andaman Sea, curious about the tribes. But his trip to North Sentinel Island in the Andaman Sea was both perilous and illegal. The endangered tribe that lives there, the Sentinelese, have kept their way of life for centuries, rejecting contact with a modern world, known for attacking outsiders. Chow's trip there, against the law. This was a dangerous trip both for the missionary and the tribe.
It was incredibly dangerous for him and foolhardy thing to have done, but even more dangerous for the Sentinelese themselves. They are the most isolated tribe on Earth, so they're the most vulnerable in terms of a lack of immunity to common diseases like flu and measles that will decimate a tribe.
Journal entries from Chow's last days show that he was well aware of the danger, writing, "I'm scared. If you want me to get actually shot or even killed with an arrow, then so be it. I don't want to die."
He wanted to share the love of God with them. That was his whole mission.
In another entry, he describes being shot at with bow and arrow, which pierced his Bible, writing, "Why did a little kid have to shoot me today? His high-pitched voice still lingers in my head." And a final message to family. "Please do not be angry at them or at God if I get killed. Don't retrieve my body." Police have sent a second boat near that remote island on Friday with 2 of the arrested men who are helping them piece together Chow's itinerary as well as his final moments. But Indian authorities won't be sending anyone on shore to question this endangered tribe. That's just too risky for everyone involved. Guys, Lucy Kavanaugh, thank you.
Oh my gosh. Peace and love to the family. This is DarusCorbin. Of course, this is the DarusCorbin Mystery School, the home of the esoteric and metaphysical knowledge. Now, let me drink my Gatorade. We have heard a lot in 2 minutes. Wow. John, R.I.P. Wow, buddy. John, you said a whole lot in your poems or diary there, in your journal. And John said he was scared. He didn't want to die. Yet he also says, if you want me to be shot and killed, so be it. John was raised to be a missionary. He felt like he can bring the teachings of Jesus Christ to these people who really, in all actuality, haven't touched or been in contact with the outside world within 60,000 years. These are the North Sentinel Islanders, or as that's what they're called at least. The first time John went there, a little kid, a little warrior, shot a bow and arrow. Arrow went right through the Holy Bible. That was a warning shot. This place, even by the government, is protected for people not to come there. These people only know their own tribe, their own family. They're not immune to these diseases and these illnesses that we go through in society. They have been sealed off from society as we know it from 60,000 years. Think about that, family, before I go in on my presentation. I want you to put yourself in their shoes. You haven't come in contact with nobody besides your own tribe for 60,000 years. That means no cell phone, guys, no TVs, no nada, none of that shit. 60,000 years. These people have been off limits. Here this guy comes, just like so many missionaries have done before our time, come to these ancient sacred islands where these people aren't bothering nobody, and come and trying to push their religion onto these people who are older than the actual religion. Family, can you imagine that? I want you to think about this. Let's think. Me and you, we're on an island. We don't know nothing except our spirituality, which we don't really know what their spirituality is because nobody's ever really came in contact with them and break it down like that. And you're coming to these people who have their own shit for 60,000 years, and you're trying to come. Remember, this is us now. We're in an island, and these people are trying to come in our island and push something that we have no idea. Let alone, we can't even understand your language. We have our own language, and here they come talking this. Not us, them, because that's what it sounds like. It may sound like to y'all when they talk, but imagine when American people who speak English trying to speak to them. They don't know what you guys are saying. So he doesn't even make it off the island, guys. Young warrior shoots the arrow right through the fucking Bible, dude. Warning shot. John leaves. He luckily escapes. Comes back the next day, knowing already what his fate was. I can't even like that. What type of drive is that? To know that you got the warning shot, you're so that I guess the adrenaline rush is so much that you say, you know, I'm gonna come back again, where I probably will die. But damn it, the rush is just there. And he did. They shot his ass up and drug him straight into the island, never to be seen again. I think the people seen smoke coming from the islanders, and they were like, yo, they're burning this man's body. You have people in not just United States, but all over the world, colonizers still till this day, who go to certain forests, certain villages, certain islands where they know these people have been good for about 20, 30,000 years. And because they want to build up malls and because they want to build up amusement parks and museums, they are willing to risk the lives of these people and their lineage that has been here before you were even here. You guys watched Avatar, right? You know why Avatar felt so close to us? Because it was our story. It was our story on both ends. Now, I'm going to go ahead and finish off with part two. I just wanted to get that off and share that with you guys and let you know that there are people out there who have no idea what cell phones are, have no idea what TVs are, have no idea what microwaves are, have no idea what automobiles are. And if you ask me, that can be a good thing. That can be a good thing. But let's just go ahead and start with part two. I thank y'all for rocking with me. You remember the question I asked my melanated African-American people? Does Black Lives matter to you? Not the movement, but does your own Black life matter? Because if you watch part two thoroughly, you're going to have some questions. Part two, you're going to have even more questions. That's why I'm here. Hit me up on the DMs. You go to these churches, whatnot, and you don't even learn nothing. You shout, you talk about how good the pastor or preaching was, but you don't learn nothing. I'm teaching you something and you don't even want to respond. Is it ego? What is it? Christ did the same thing 2,000 years ago. He tried to show you guys the way internally that you can achieve the Godhead. But the people at the time, all they wanted to do was just know how to heal people like he was doing. Do you feel what I'm saying? So, here we go. We're going to finish off where I left off, and I thank you guys for rocking with me as always. Let's see where we're at right now. Let's start here. In the general life and practice of Christian missionaries, remember, John was a missionary. He wanted to go to North Sentinel Island and convert them and show them the ways of Jesus Christ. And he learned a valuable lesson, didn't he? In the general life and practice of Christian missionaries, there is much that is open to the kind of interpretation that we are examining. No matter how simple his lifestyle by his own standards, or how little power of any kind he wields in his own country, in the eyes of a primal society, he appears rich and powerful. Talking about the whites. And this because of his religion. But when the local people accept the same religion, they remain weak and poor. He may commence schools using his own European language and then, for good educational reasons, change to the use of the vernacular. Clearly, he has decided to protect the secrets contained in his own literature, or he may concentrate on only significant literacy to read the scriptures and otherwise emphasize practical and manual training. I want to make sure the bright light, I want to go too far. And bear with me, I'm just trying to make sure I'm back where I need to be. Or he may concentrate on only significant literacy to read the scriptures and otherwise emphasize practical and manual training. As a result, those he has taught cannot share his full literary wealth, nor do they have significant practical skills to make for themselves the wonderful technical equipment he possesses. Let me read that again. Or he may concentrate on only significant literacy to read the scriptures, and otherwise emphasize practical and manual training. As a result, those he has taught cannot share his full literary wealth, nor do they have significant practical skills to make for themselves the wonderful technical equipment he possesses. Okay, we back in the swing of things. He may operate a trade store to bring basic Western goods within their reach, and then close it when missions policies turn against such trading or it has been replaced by secular commercial developments. His very first contacts may have been established by goodwill gifts or bartering to meet his own needs. And then he closes the channel for the sharing of his wealth with them. Once the mental set, the cultural predisposition is there, his most innocent or entirely appropriate actions are open to interpretation as one more example of something being kept back from the local people. The whole practice of a mission station might appear at first to proclaim that here was a new and more powerful witch protection. I'm going to read that again, don't worry. The whole practice of a mission station, so they're saying the whole purpose of missionaries in the first place, listen, the whole practice of a mission station might appear at first to proclaim that here was a new and more powerful station, a new and more powerful witch protection movement, which its own attacked on previous movements or methods. Now, I just did a video, for those who remember, on the divine woman, on the woman in general, and the history of the witches, the true divine females, and how they were abused, attacked, and destroyed from this planet, leaving only a copy of their self. Let me read that again, because it just got real, family. 15 minutes in, it just got real. Listen to what it says. And when I read, I hear myself kind of messing up a little bit, so I want to make sure that I reread it again, so the words are coming out clear, so you can get a clear understanding of what we're saying here as I break this down. So thank you for rocking with me, and thank you for your patience. Here we go. The whole practice of a mission station might appear at first to proclaim that here was a new and more powerful witch protection movement with its own attack on previous movements or methods, replacing them by its new rituals and I quote, medicines, its new confessions of sin and malice, its new promises of a golden age to come when evils will vanish. Its methods are all of a piece. The new powerful medicines, and I quote, in the medical clinics poured over one in baptism, eaten and drunk in the Holy Communion, and the mysteries partly shared in the classroom and in the worship, all part of the new and powerful movement. One could share in it up to a point by learning to read and to use carpenter's tools, by becoming a member of the church and paying dues, but at the end, all of this was still left without the real cult secrets for oneself. Hold up, shit. Did y'all hear that? Church people, I don't care what I give you on this channel, it all comes back and we never left the Bible. Did y'all hear what I just said? Church going people, did y'all hear what I just said? You didn't? You did. You didn't? Okay, no problem. I'm gonna read that again because that woohoo! The whole practice of a mission station might appear at first to proclaim that here was a new and more powerful witch protection movement with its own attack on previous movements or methods, replacing them by its new rituals and I quote, medicines, its new confessions of sin and malice, its new promises of a golden age to come when evil will vanish. Its methods are all of a piece. The new powerful, and I quote, medicines in the medical clinics poured over one in baptism, eaten and drunk in the Holy Communion, and the mysteries partly shared in the classroom and the worship. All part of the new and powerful movement. One could share in it up to a point, by learning to read and to use carpenter's tools, by becoming a member of the church and paying dues. Tomorrow's Sunday, by the way. But at the end, people, but at the end, people listening, but at the end, all of this, one was still left without the real cult's secrets for oneself. But at the end of all this, one was still left without the real cult secrets for oneself. Till this day, all this and you don't know nothing. Because you don't research yourself. Then get mad when people read books. How far we came. How far we came. Let's keep going. The most explicit example I have found occurs in, I'm going to try my best here, people. El Église de la Foi, El Église de la Foi. And for spelling purpose, because you're supposed to have your pen and pad anyway, that's L, little X thing, little X mark right there, the little slash up top. EGLISEDELAFOI. Not exclamation mark, the little. It's been a while for me. The most explicit example I have found occurs in El Église de la Foi, founded in Zaire in the 1960s. That's spelled Zaire, by Bakwafula. Bakwafula, if you and your family are watching, trying my best with these words. I thank you, family. The most explicit example I have found occurs in El Église de la Foi, founded in Zaire in the 60s by Bakwafula. He asserts that the power of the whites lies not in their various secular organizations, but in their religion and its rights. These are not the public religious rituals of the mission churches, but other more secret rites performed in cemeteries at night. This is a mystery school. You did come here to learn, right? When you click on my channel, you did come to learn, right? No matter what color you are, you did come to learn, right? Okay then. Don't get in your feelings. Learn. Research. The most explicit example I have found occurs in El Église de la Foi, founded in Zaire in the 1960s by Bakwafula. He asserts that the power of the whites lies not in their various secular organizations, but in their religion and its rights. These are not the public religious rituals, These are not the public religious rituals of the mission churches. Let me say that again. These are not the public religious rituals of the mission churches, but other more secret rites performed in cemeteries at night. Listen, because I don't think y'all be listening sometimes. I think you just... So I like to keep repeating myself sometimes. What? Oh, you don't like it? Change the channel. The most explicit example I have found occurs in El Église de la Foi, founded in Zaire, Z-A-I-R-E, in the 1960s by Bakwafula. He asserts that the power of the whites lies not in their various secular organizations, but in their religion and its rights. These are not the public religious rituals of the mission churches, but other more secret rites performed in cemeteries at night. Through him, God has revealed these secrets so that the blacks who join his church can benefit from them and become rich like the whites. He asserts that the power of the whites lies not in their various secular organizations, but in their religion and its rights. These are not the public religious rituals of the mission churches, but other more secret rites performed in cemeteries at night. Through him, God has revealed these secrets. Through him, God has revealed these secrets so that blacks who join his church can benefit from them and become rich like the whites. Interestingly enough, his appeal is mainly among the more sophisticated Bourgeois, and it's spelled Bourgeoisie. The very people who have learned most of Western secular wisdom and skills, and yet who feel they are still poor and powerless in comparison with the white nation. Let me read that last part again. Through him, God has revealed these secrets so that blacks who join his church can benefit from them and become rich like the whites. Interestingly enough, his appeal is mainly among the more sophisticated bourgeois, the very people who have learned most of the Western secular wisdom and skills, and yet who feel they are still poor and powerless in comparison with the white nation. Wherever there has been criticism of one mission by another, further doubts have been cast on the authenticity of the fullness of the Christian religion offered by one's own missionary. This is especially acute when a new mission body arrives and competes with the early mission by openly declaring that it is, and I quote, the full gospel church, or the real Jehovah's Witness that will give people the true and complete meaning of the Bible for the first time. Even if the authorities of the mission have no such thoughts, it has happened that, for example, African agents of the Salvation Army has opened in their own cultural terms and announced that they brought important truths of the Bible that earlier missions have concealed from Africans. So not only are missionaries have come and lied to these people about who they are, but then in later times you will have other missionaries come to these indigenous places and say, listen, the last missionary was full of crap. We got the real stuff. We got the real truth of the Bible. Added more confusion to already confused people who didn't even ask for this shit. And YouTube, whatever, my passion is my passion. You know what it is. I'm gonna get this word across in a point, regardless. Excuse me, technology is trying to go against me. I don't have to lock my device, it's already unlocked. Let's read that again. Wherever there has been criticism of one's mission by another, further doubts have been cast on the authenticity or the fullness of the Christian religion offered by one's own missionary. This is especially acute when a new mission body arrives and competes with the early mission by openly declaring that it is, and I quote, the full gospel church, or the real Jehovah's Witnesses, that will give people the true and complete meaning of the Bible for the first time. No wonder people always go hard on Jehovah's Witnesses. Even if the authorities of the mission have no such thoughts, it has happened that, for example, African agents of the Salvation Army have operated in their own cultural terms and announced that they have brought important truths of the Bible that earlier missions had concealed from Africans. Belief in a secret tradition stemming from Christ appears very early in Christian history in the account in Acts chapter 8, verses 9 to 24 of Simon, the sorcerer, who tried to buy what he recognized as superior power. It has been fostered in all Gnostic versions of Christianity and emerges again in our own day in diverse areas of the world. It is not entirely surprising, therefore, to learn that the Tokiist or Red Star Independent Church in Angola explained why the Protestant missions taught their converts to pray with their eyes shut. It was so that they would not see the Holy Spirit or the truth that the whites hid at all points. Now, I think it was Desmond Tutu, and you can research, that says they closed their eyes. The Africans or the indigenous people in general before they closed their eyes, they had the land and the white man had the Bible. When they closed their eyes and opened again, the indigenous people had the Bible and the white man had the land. And I'm paraphrasing. I believe that was Desmond Tutu. Let's read that again. And I thank y'all for rocking with me because we 30 minutes in and we jamming already. Thank you. Thank you. Belief in a secret tradition stemming from Christ appears very early in Christian history. In the account in Acts, it looks like chapter 8, verses 9 through 24, of Simon the sorcerer who tried to buy what he recognized as a superior power. It has been fostered in all Gnostic versions of Christianity and emerges again in our own day in diverse areas of the world. It is not entirely surprising, therefore, to learn that the Tokiist or Registrar Independent Church in Angola explained why the Protestant missions taught their converts to pray with their eyes shut. It was so that they would not see the Holy Spirit or the truth that the whites hid at all points. Now, we got some white people today that are upset with other white people because they didn't know the history of their ancestors and what they did to these indigenous people. So now, you got to understand the worlds we live in now. Back in the days of our ancestors, especially in the 60s, 50s, 40s, and we keep on going back, a lot of, if not all the white people, really could not stand Black people, Indian people at all. And remind you, if we can do a history recap, Irish people, Italians, before you got Americanized, the Europeans gave you the same backlash they gave Black people and Indian people. This is true. You know that to be true. Let's see where we're at right now. I want to read that again. It is not entirely surprising, therefore, to learn that the Tokiist or Registrar Independent Church in Angola explained why the Protestant missions taught their converts to pray with their eyes shut. It was so that they would not see the Holy Spirit or the truth that the whites hid at all points. In the same way, the Society of the Secret Power of Jesus in Ghana, which aimed to discover the secret wonder-working magic by which Jesus worked miracles, slow it down for him, Darius. In the same way, the Society of the Secret Power of Jesus in Ghana, which aimed to discover the secret wonder-working magic by which Jesus worked miracles, or the secret prayer groups in Soweto, that's spelled Soweto. The huge African slum area by Jonasonburg claimed to know the hidden meaning of the Bible to stand in a succession of such secret prayer groups right back to Christ and the disciples. Or again, the first missionary to visit the village of Iokea, and that's spelled Iokea, Iokea, in Papua in 1912. He was received as a big man, and I quote, and expected to produce the symbol of his wonder-working powers. And there was great disappointment when, like Paul and Barnabas on an earlier occasion, he insisted that he was but human with a nature like their own, and that they would learn by way of Christ and not through any secret knowledge transmitted through him. It was in the same village that the best known of the early cargo cults broke out a few years later, the so-called Violeo madness, and that's spelled Vailala. It is on the Christian scriptures that most suspicions of double dealing by the whites are focused. These suspicions may arise quite innocently in the course of an individual's own searching among religious books of all kinds. I think of a young Nigerian man who assured me that he was prepared to buy books rather than to eat. Damn. An even more drastic alternative than in the European exhortation to sell one's bed. He had the English authorized version and his own vernacular Bible in Yoruba. But he has found that these did not tell the whole life of Jesus. He has found accounts of the missing years of his boyhood and his sojourner in Egypt. Let me read this again because I'm about to tell y'all some good shit. A lot of people know about my travels to Egypt a few years ago. They know that I came back with a mission. That mission is the same mission that Christ, that Yeshua, that Jesus, that Joseph Bar Joseph had. And once you know the secret teachings, the true mission of Christ, and you are pure-hearted in this planet, you have you have a choice. But people like me have no choice but to do their mission. I had a mission. It took me 30-some years to realize my mission. Now that I know my mission, I am constant work of the Divine Father and the Divine Mother. So let me read what I'm about to read to you. And if you are still watching in 36 minutes, you need a pen and you need a pad, to write down these books that I'm about to give to you. That's why I stopped. Because these books I also read. And once I give you the name, and some of you got these books. And once I give you these books, you're going to look at your church different. You're going to look at your pastor, your preachers, your bishops, pope different. Because family, I don't care how much you say, how much you may feel that you're saved, sanctified, and filled with the Holy Ghost. You're not. You are not. Until you understand the Divine Mother role, Mary's true role, both Marys, because there were many Marys in the Bible, more than two. Till you understand who Christ's father was, his earthly and cosmo father. Until you understand what religious sect that Jesus' mother came from, then you are not filled with the Holy. You're not saved, sanctified, and filled with the Holy Ghost. You're just puppets programmed. And I don't care how you feel about it. Hit me up and we can talk about it. I do this. Me, myself. That's it. Like Kevin Hart said, me, myself, one cut, no help, nobody. I'm here. And I help raise people from the dead. I have gave sight to the blind. Are you serious? This is not no ego, no narcissistic shit. This is true. And if I can do it, so can you. So let's go on. Where we at here? And listen. Get your pen and pad ready. Let me get a Gatorade shot. Cause after this, it's all on you, man. It is on the Christian. It is on the Christian scriptures that most suspicion. It is on the Christian scriptures that the most suspicion of double dealing by the whites are focused. These suspicions may arise quite innocently in the course of an individual's own searching among religious books of all kinds. I think of a young Nigerian man who assured me that he was prepared to buy books rather than eat. An even more drastic alternative than in the European exhortation to sell one's bed. He had the English authorized version and his own vernacular Bible in Yoruba, but had found that these did not tell the whole life of Jesus. This is where I need you to listen up. It did not tell the whole life of Jesus. Wait, there was more? You're damn right. Listen. He had found accounts of the missing years of his boyhood. He has found account like I have, like so many others have, of the missing years of Jesus Christ, or Yeshua, or Saint Issa, or Joseph Bar Joseph. Hold up, Darius. You getting me? Huh? Talk to me, church. Talk to me, scholars. Talk to me, bishops. We raising people up from the dead. What y'all doing? Talking about how they got cornrows and how they dressing? Talking about what sister... Man, come on, Darus. We ain't got time for this right now. Get the people what they need. He had the English authorized version and his own vernacular Bible in Yoruba, but had found that these did not tell the whole life of Jesus. He had found out of the missing years of his boyhood, Jesus' boyhood, and his sojourner in Egypt. Yes, Jesus was in Egypt. We know this, right? In the book, here's the book, and I said this in previous, a couple years ago, I gave y'all this book. But for the new people, I want you to know this book again. The Aquarian Gospel of Jesus the Christ. If there are any religious church people out here right now, any bishops, any theologians right now, I want my congregation. If you have, raise your hand if you never heard this book before. Don't worry, I can see you. Raise your hand if you have never heard of this book and you're a Christian. Okay. Do you see what I mean when I tell you about knowing that you're being in a house and there's so many windows, but you choose your whole life just to look at that window, that one window, knowing there are many views from these windows, but you choose because you're safe, secured, programmed in that one window and that one book. So how can you say you know Jesus and you got a connection with Jesus and God? Stop that. Yeah. You know better. I'm going to give you that book again. You have homework to do. If you ain't going to church tomorrow, you got homework to do. You don't need church anyway. The Aquarian Gospel of Jesus the Christ. You can PDF this book or get it at Barnes & Nobles. Call them up, tell them you need this book ASAP. Because anybody who go to church, I promise you, if you tired of your pastor walking around, dancing, shouting, if you tired of your reverend calling you out because you ain't living right, if you tired of the preacher talking about you and your sexuality, knowing damn well he's in the wrong more than you, then read this book. Because then you'll be up on your preacher who's just walking around showing his ego side and not even giving you the spiritual gnosis that you need. It's the God in me. Mary, what up? It's the God in me. What is it you think you see when you see D? G-O-D. You're damn right. Shout out to Mary. My gosh. The Aquarian Gospel of Jesus Christ, which is full of apocryphy, or apocryphia, however you want to say it. A-P-O-C-R-Y-P-H-A-L, and occult material. That book, The Aquarian Gospel of Jesus the Christ, which is full of apocryphy or apocryphia and occult material. And let me say this right quick. For those who are knee-deep in religious and don't know nothing except Jesus and God, you have to understand something. There is a big difference from cult, C-U-L-T, from cult, C-U-L-T, and occultism. Occultism, O-U-O-C, I'll make sure because I'm in my spirit zone right now. O-C-C-U-L-T, occultism, that's occult, but O-C-C-U-L-T-I-S-M is occultism. Cult is some Jim Jones shit. Not Jim Jones the rapper, Jim Jones the cult leader who got all these black people to drink Kool-Aid because he had them convinced that he was God. For those who remember that, that's cult. Charles Manson, shout out to Marilyn Manson. Charles Manson was a cult leader. He had people convinced that he was the one, and they start killing for him. You know? Occultism is the hidden knowledge that the churches and Europeans and that the Vatican and that Queen Elizabeth and all them hide from you guys. Occultism is what people like Hitler, people like Leonardo da Vinci, people like Francis Bacon, William Shakespeare, people like Nikola Tesla, people like Elon Musk, I bet you, people like Donald Trump studied. And they learned the true stuff while the slave masters to our ancestors knew it as well, and they kept it for themselves, and they gave us the Bible. And you know, in the Bible, it said what? Obey the slave master, and you still worship. And come on, guys, it's 2021. I am raising priest, priestess, and I'm not talking like popes. I mean shamans, witches, Magi's, adapts. That's what we're raising now. So we don't have to go to the church and listen to the middleman. You don't need no middleman to bring you to Christ and God, because you are the enlightened one that brings you to God, knowing that you yourself internally are God by just knowing who you are, just being true to you. All right out there? I know, see, the spirit is inside of me, guys. And I'm not talking, listen, when I say the spirit inside of me, I mean the divineness, the divinity of the mother God, the true Father, not the one you praise to in the Bible. My gosh. Let me keep on going. Because I might have to do a part 3 just because of all the energy that's going on right now. And shout out to my brother. I want to give a shout out to my brother Jay, man. Jay called me when I was in the middle of doing the presentation. So I was like, man, bro, it's cool. I'm going to do another one. So the energy is felt. So, bro, thank you for that call, because this is amazing. I can tell this is going to be an amazing presentation. This is amazing. The people need this knowledge. So, brother, salute. Let's read this again. Let's read this again. Let's read this again. Man. Are y'all all right out there? Are y'all all right out there? Don't worry, I'm right with you. The Aquarian Gospel of Jesus Christ, which is full of apocryphy and occult material. We may never have heard of it, but many West Africans and others have. We may never heard of these books. You guys may never heard of it, but the West Africans. So you got to understand why, like, people be like, yo, them Africans don't like us African Americans. You ever heard that? Like, yo, Africans can't stand our ass. This is why, and you can't really blame them, because all you want to do is get money, you feel what I'm saying, pay bills, stress, argue with each other, kill each other, you feel what I'm saying, and they have the true knowledge of who we are. We don't have the knowledge of who we are, African Americans, melanated people. So I would be mad at y'all too, because half of y'all don't even want to research y'all shit, man. Then he found further that there were many unfamiliar stories of Abraham and others in Polano's selections from the Talmud. And Talmud. You need to read that book too, the Talmud. And I'm probably saying it a little bit off, but Google's your best friend. Still further reading, this time in Douai English version of the Bible used by Catholics, had revealed books that were not in Protestant Bible at all. He had discovered the Old Testament apocryphy, and still further that even in books common to both Catholic and Protestant Bibles, there may be differences, as with Esther, where 13 verses in chapter 10 of the former are represented by only 3 verses in the latter. There were, however, self-imposed limits to this extensive research, for although he had heard of the 6 and 7 books of Moses, See, I'm gonna have to do a part 3, because this, God darn, I'm gonna have to do a part 3. By a show of hands, church people. I know y'all getting tired of me, church people. I know some of y'all probably, y'all feelings watching this. But even if you church people don't want to learn, I got future generations that need this work. By a show of hands, because I have this book on PDF. Some books you can't get in Barnes & Noble. By a show of hands, preachers, bishops, theologians, how many of you, oh, this is going to be fun. How many of you have heard, by a show of hands, have heard of the 6 and 7 books of Moses? And I don't even need this to tell you what it is, but how many of y'all have heard of the 6 and 7 books of Moses? Well, quit playing, Darius. Tell them what it is. Okay. Well, how many of you guys are familiar with Psalms or Psalms? Psalms in the Bible? Psalms, right? How many of you know that Psalms in the Bible are nothing but spells? Oh, my mule! Oh, my mule! How many of y'all, and I think I might leave this for part 3. How many of y'all out here have heard of this? Let me make sure you get the right numerology. See, this is what I do, family. And this is why I think a lot of people don't want to fool with me. Because they always tell me that I'm too deep, I'm different, but they never want to sit down and have conversations with me. Shout out to the brothers who do have podcasts. And one brother said, "Man, look, brother, I want to interview." So, brother, we're going to sit down and we're going to do this interview. But some people don't even want to talk to me about it because they, and some people do. They hit me on Messenger. They're like, "Yo, thank you so much. I heard of this, but you gave me the whole pie." There were adapts, shamans, magi's, prophets in the days of Christ and before him. So why are you so naive to think that it won't be in the age of Aquarius? I'm not asking nobody to follow me, but if you want to, fine. I'm going to give you more than your churches have. That's for damn sure. Now, where was I? Oh, yeah. By a show of hands, how many of you have heard of the 6 and 7 book of Moses? And I'm going to end this here. The 6 and 7 book of Moses is a spell book given to Moses, and the spells are all in Psalms. All Psalms are, church people, are spells. Family, I am giving you your power back to you. Those who watch this channel are going to be blessed. I am giving you your power back to you. Tonight you have homework to do. Google the 6. Let me make sure I got that right now. I think it might be the 7 and 8. The 6 and 7 books of Moses. Write this down now. The 6 and 7 books of Moses is called the 6th and 7th book of Moses. Write this down now. PDF the book. Once you guys, and I can see who really watches whatnot. You can be anonymous. I don't care. For those who download and research the 6th and 7th book of Moses, hit me up on Messenger and let me know what you read. And let me know what you read. Now, I'm going to end this here. I'm going to read this. There were, however, imposed limits to this extensive research. For although he had heard of the 6th and 7th book of Moses, he refused to explore these for as he put it, And I quote, "If I go deep, I have two minds, half occult or half magic." Others, however, magic and occult literature, and not least because they contain a detailed key to the use of the Old Testament palms. See? I told you. One by one for all kinds of practical healing and other purposes. I'm going to read that again, and then I'm going to end this because, guys, I said enough. Or have I? Let's read this again. Matter of fact, I'm gonna see. I'm gonna make sure how I end it good. I'm gonna end it right here. Here we go. We're gonna start from here again. Then we're gonna end it here. And thank you for watching the DarusCorbin Mystery School. Like I said, a lot of people say I need to start a church. We don't need a church. I just told you that. People said, Joe, you gotta, the people support you. So listen, I have a Cash App, $DarusCorbin, DarusCorbin. If you like this, if you want to support this, if you want to see this channel get bigger, then drop it. Besides that, this is what I do. Thank you. Let's go. It is on the Christian scriptures that most suspicions of double dealing by the whites are focused. These suspicions may arise quite innocently in the course of an individual's own searching among religious books of all kinds. I think of a young Nigerian man who assured me that he was prepared to buy books rather than eat. An even more drastic alternative than in the European exhortation to sell one's bed. He had an English authorized version and his own vernacular Bible in Yoruba, but had found that these did not tell the whole life of Jesus. He had found accounts of the missing years of Jesus' boyhood and that Jesus sojourned in Egypt in the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus the Christ, which is full of apocrypha and occult material. We may never have heard of it, but many West Africans and others have. Then he found further that there were many unfamiliar stories of Abraham and others in Polano's selection from the Talmud, Talmud. Still further reading this time in the Dual English version of the Bible used by Catholics had revealed books that were not in Protestant Bible at all. He had discovered the Old Testament Apocrypha, and still further that even in the books common to both Catholic and Protestant Bibles, there may be differences, as with Esther, where 13 verses in chapter 10 of the former are represented by only 3 verses in the latter. There were, however, self-imposed limits to the extensive research, for although he had heard of the 6th and 7th book of Moses, he refused to explore these for, as he put it, and I quote, "If I go deep, I have two minds, half occult or magic," end quote. Others, however, are fascinated by this hodgepodge of ancient Egyptian and medieval European magic and occult literature, and not least because they contain a detailed key to the use of the Old Testament palms, one by one for all kinds of practical healings and other purposes. Some examples must be given of other ways in which primal peoples think the whites have not brought the whole Bible. It is not uncommon to say that the first pages have been removed, for these local people have been mentioned by name as within God's plan of creation. Let me say that again. Some examples must be given of other ways in which primal people think the whites have not brought the whole Bible. It is not uncommon to say that the first pages have been removed, for in these the local people have been mentioned by name as within God's plan. Did you hear that shit? Some example must be given of other ways in which primal people think the whites have not brought the whole Bible. It is not uncommon to say that the first pages have been removed, for in these the local people have been mentioned by name as within God's plan of creation. Or else other pages have been cut out wherein it was shown, for example, that Jesus Christ was a member of the local tribe in Aryan Jaya. And I'm going to spell this. Research these tribes because these tribes are black, hood black, like some people you would see on Church Street, any other street in the hood. Like, I'm telling you, they look like our ancestors for real. And that's spelled I-R-I-A-N. Ianjaya. These are a local tribe. Let me read that again one more time. Some examples must be given of other ways in which primal peoples think that whites have not brought the whole Bible. It is not uncommon to say that the first pages have been removed. Whoa. For in these local people have been mentioned by name as within God's plan of creation. Or else other pages have been cut out wherein it was shown, for example, that Jesus Christ was a member of the local tribe and the Aryan or identified with a local culture hero. Thus, in the Letub, L-E-T, or Letub, L-E-T-U-B movement in the Madang district of New Guinea of the early 1940s, Jesus and God were identified with two traditional divinities, Dodo and Manup. That's D-O-D-O and M-A-N-U-P. And this was what the whites had kept secret. The same identification occurred in Fiji in the Tuku movement of the 1870s, when the Bible was believed to be really a book given to the whites by the mythical hero twins who were important figures in Fijian religion. But the white men could not pronounce their names in the book, so they had replaced them by Jesus and Jehovah. In other areas, it may be the last pages of the Bible that had been removed, wherein God tells Papuans how they may secure factories and ships and cargoes, or African and Angola that Jesus Christ at his second advent will be in the form of a Negro. And I'm going to stop there and give you part 3. This might be one of my most monumental presentations, because I can feel the power coming without me. So if I can feel that power coming without me, I know that it's being received through you. That's how I know that you are getting this, because I feel this energy coming without me, and it's going, receiving, going. So I know you guys are getting this so much that before I end this, I'm going to read that again. Black people, I asked you a question in part 1. Do you really care about black lives? Do you? Because if you did, you watched a previous video I did in my first channel, the DarusCorbin channel, my first real channel, DarusCorbin channel, when I told you the story about Sami Toko, who was Jesus, who came back in 1960. He was a black man, an avatar. But I guess you guys ain't ready for that. But if you are, either watch the video or hit me up on a messenger if you want to know what that video is. But I'm going to read that again. And to my white people, this is not about white bashing. Because if you remember part 1, the general said that he is white and he wants to understand white rage. So in these videos I'm giving you, I'm breaking it down. There are white people right now who didn't know that their ancestors, that their people did this to the blacks and the browns, the Indians. And they are angry as well, and they want to work and help with us. So I'm giving them the information, and for future generations who need to know this. And for the Vatican, to the Pope, and anybody who's watching who agree with me, I'm going to say this one more time. And to Queen Elizabeth, I'm going to say this one more time before I read this and end this. The Vatican, it is known, they have a library that no man can really enter unless a priest is down there with them. And even if he got the book, the priest is standing right beside of him, seeing what chapters he reading and telling him what chapters he can't read. We always talk about America and this and all that. I know Vatican's not in America, but we talk about justice and freedom for everybody, liberation. There are books in the Vatican, people, that these people, that the Vatican, the Pope, and all of them are holding hostage, that if these books were revealed, would free the people of this planet and will give us the true divinity that we need. There are books that they are burned. That back in the ancient days, the Library of Alexandria in Egypt was burned. All this knowledge was burned because Napoleon and them wanted to conquer these lands. The magic that was gone. Family, there's a whole nother world, primordial world that we don't even know about. I don't have time to play. I don't fear death. They're gonna kill you for this. For what? The energy is just gonna be passed down if you do that. There's no fear of death. Everybody want to live, but nobody wants to die. And that's a shame. And that's what we have with this pandemic we're going on. Everybody wants to live, but nobody wants to die. The ancient Egyptians and even people older than them knew that this world was an illusion. You make the best out of this world, but you don't go preserving this world, because death is a rites of passage. It's a whole nother transformation once you die. There's a whole nother reward for you after this. But so many people are afraid to die. But the truth is, and I'm just going to say it, for certain people on this planet, they don't want people to know the truth. Because if they know the truth, that means the end of their existence as they know it. I'm going to say that again before I go in. Certain people on this planet do not want the human race to know the truth. For if they know the truth, if humankind know exactly who they are and the true teachings of Christ, it would mean total annihilation for a lot of people. So a lot of people are preserving as much as they can using technology that we can't even think of right now. D-Wave, the CERN. To prolong. You see the movie Get Out. All right, well, let's keep going. I'm going to read the last part again. And thank you for watching. Hit the like button. Hit the dislike button. Whatever you feel. But leave messages, people. Talk to me. I talk back. Some examples must be given of other ways in which primal people think the whites have not brought the whole Bible. It is not uncommon to say that the first pages have been removed, for in these the local people have been mentioned by name as within God's plan of creation, or else other pages have been cut out wherein it was shown, for example, that Jesus Christ was a member of the local tribe in Arianjaya, and that's spelled Irianjaya. Please Google this tribe for your own sake. Or identify with a local culture hero, thus in the Leta movement in the Mandang district of New Guinea of the early 1940s. Listen to this, church people and people in general. Jesus and God were identified with two traditional divinities, Dodo and Manup, and this was what the whites had kept secret. The same Bible was believed to be really a book given to the whites by the mythical hero twins who were important figures in Fijian religion, but the white men could not pronounce their names in this book, so they had replaced them by Jesus and Jehovah. In other areas, it may be the last pages of the Bible that have been removed, wherein God tells Papuans how they may secure factories and ships and cargoes, or African and Angolian, that Jesus Christ at his second advent will be in the form of a Negro. That Jesus Christ coming back the second time would be a black person. I am done. The shit gets me. It gets me emotional, but it's okay. I just want y'all to wake up. There's no gimmicks with me. I have everything to gain and nothing to lose. Until next time. Part 3. I'm not even done. Part 3. Peace and love, y'all.